Hello, listeners. Kathy Lawless, Life Story Curator, bringing you this podcast series, How Did I Get Here? A series of interviews designed for people just starting their careers, in transition, or possibly feeling stuck, and giving them access to the stories of people who have been through what they've been through already to hopefully inspire them to take action in a different way. Today, I'm very excited to be interviewing Erica Duran, who is an international business coach and lifestyle mentor. Welcome, Erica.
Aloha, Kathy. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to be interviewing you today. I tell your story all the time that you're the one that helped me launch my business.
So I know, it's so long. It feels like a long time ago.
4 years. Can you believe it?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Well, Erica, before we get into what it means to be an international business coach and lifestyle mentor, I always like to start with icebreaker questions because we want to find out about where you grew up, how many siblings, where you are in the birth order, and how that influenced you as a young person and who you are today.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I grew up in Southern California, in Orange County, California. I am an only child. Technically, I have some stepbrothers and sisters now, but they didn't come into the family till I was like 30. So I don't really feel like I grew up with them, or some of them I haven't even met, honestly. Yeah. And I think being an only child is, you have to find ways to entertain yourself. And my mom took me traveling with her a lot because I was an only child and my dad had other vacation goals. So she took me on all her travel agent excursions.
Oh, so you were a travel bug from the get-go, because that kind of leads to who you are today, that I know you travel a ton.
Exactly.
So growing up in California, did you play sports, or were you in music and dance, or what were your hobbies as a young person?
No, I really kept to myself, and my mom, being an only child, she took me to Disneyland a lot because we had an annual pass. It wasn't very expensive back then, and went almost every weekend. My whole childhood, I guess.
you spent your life at the Magic Kingdom.
I did.
Well, very cool. So, that leads kind of to the next question, which is a little bit different, but on a fun meter scale of 1 to 5, 1 being couch potato and 5 the life of the party, where do you put yourself?
I'm not a life of the party because I tend to observe a lot. I'm a total introvert, but I'm very determined and outgoing. So it's kind of a weird mix of an introvert and getting out there. I guess it's very weird. It's a very weird mix.
Yes, because I do see you as someone always putting yourself out there in a very public way, because you have so much to share and so much value to add. But I also see that you like your personal space too, and you get your energy from being by yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly. I even at the Disney parks and all, I was more observing and doing my own thing than kind of running around rallying the crowd and stuff.
So you didn't end up being a character and working there?
I did work there, but I wasn't a character. I was a restaurant manager for 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this Disney connection goes way back.
Yeah. Well, actually, it goes further than that. My parents met there they used to have dances in the 60s, I guess it was, and you could go for free to these dances in Tomorrowland. And so I always forget that they met there, but they did.
Wow. So they met there. Then you end up going there quite a bit as a young person. And then now and I know I'm fast forwarding to today, that you also have another business I'm sure you'll talk about, which involves Disney, but on the other coast.
Yeah. No, all coasts, actually, even Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll get to that shortly. So we got one more meter to talk about here, and that's the risk-taking meter. So on a scale of 1 to 5, where are you on taking risks?
5, like all the way. Like
I'll have like a 9.
I'll have $2 in my pocket and risk it.
Well, yeah, you seem very comfortable with risk taking and again putting yourself out there with businesses and such. So, okay, well let's move on to that then. So tell us about what it's like to be an international business coach and a lifestyle mentor.
Yeah, I've really started adding a lot of lifestyle pieces to my business this last year, just to get a more help my clients in a more full, well-rounded type of way. I still do the traditional business coaching where we work on mindset, building your brand, your website, all the little pieces that go into starting a business from scratch. And a lot of my clients don't even have an idea of what they want to do, or they have some joy or hobby that they would like to turn into a business, but they don't know how to monetize it or market it. So
That was me. And that's what
yeah,
you helped me with.
yeah. And people don't realize all the little decisions you have to make before it's actually live and marketable, and all the technology involved and all that stuff. So we still do all that stuff, but I am a hardcore minimalist. So I added a minimalist luxury program this year to help people. That's how I actually, well, this is an origin kind of story too. I started out as a professional organizer, helping people sell their clutter to fund their dream, whether it was to go on vacation or write a book or start a business. So the minimalist thing ties in to that as well, with this new minimalist luxury program. And then we have also my clients were gung-ho about their business, but not so gung-ho about sales and marketing. So we built a program called Google Bait, which helps people get found on Google. And then it's not even announced to the public yet, really. I just added it to my email signature. But we built a travel company that focuses on Disney and Hawaii. So we can book anything, but we're focused on those two areas primarily. That's where most of my expertise is. And a lot of my clients are taking advantage of it to book their retreats and their workshops for their clients. So I have a lot of coaches, author, speaker type clients, and they're using the new travel company to put their events together.
Wow, you never cease to amaze me with how you take what your expertise is and again bring that value to other people, and in a way, and that's what you did for me. I mean, you have a gift that you can just break down these things in life that people need to do that seem overwhelming and walk people through it. So I can attest, listeners, to the value that Erica brings. So
thank you.
well,
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's these people, they think that their idea won't make money, and I've never seen, if they're passionate about it, I've never seen something not make money. It might need some tweaks and all, but eventually it's going to make money.
yeah. Well, thank you for helping me launch.
Yeah, that was so much fun. It was you had such a unique, different business. It was like, oh yay, it's not another professional organizer or author type person. This is a total unique like thing to work on.
Really stretched you.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into now the how did I get here, which is okay, you're a young person, you're growing up in California. How did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up, that you wanted to be this coach and mentor, or did that just evolve?
No, I really wanted to stay in the hospitality lane. I wanted to move up the company in Disney, or when I graduated college. Well, let me back up. I have a 4-year degree in hospitality management, hotel restaurant management, and that was all to further my career in Disney because I was working at Disney through college. And then when
and what a great company to want to work for. I mean, they're like a premier brand. So,
yeah,
that is one of those things that you look at Disney and go, oh, that's the kind of the mothership, the Magic Kingdom. That's where you want to work. I get it.
yeah. So I worked there for 5 years, and then looking back, I might have stayed longer and tried to further my career there, but I really wanted to get into luxury hotels and have a more of a executive corporate-y job that wasn't like a 24/7 job that Disney can be.
Mm-hmm.
And hotels are obviously 24/7, but if you're in sales, marketing, front office kind of stuff, it doesn't have to be a 24-hour job. And I got married at the time, and also I just wanted like a more normal schedule. So I started working at major hotel brand luxury hotels for the next 15 years, really. Just moved my way up from front desk to front office manager to assistant general manager, sales and marketing director. And then I had the whole West Coast, Hawaii and West Coast for sales in one company. It's actually their vacation club timeshare division.
Impressive. And how old are you at this point? It sounds like this was kind of one of your first big roles.
Yeah, I must have been, I was assistant general manager at 22. So I left corporate at 30. So I was under 30 this whole time.
Wow, that's young.
Yeah.
Well, and did you have some management training too then, and leadership training to be, leading all these teams and being in a position at that level?
Not so much formal training, honestly. My college was a little bit unique because we had half of our classes, I'm going to say down the hill. It's Cal Poly Pomona. So there's this hill where all the restaurant classes and hotel classes are up this hill. It's like a separate little baby campus up there, and they have a hotel on property and a high-end restaurant on property that all the students run, along with taking the classes in both hospitality. And then you go down the hill and you have to also take all the business degree classes. So it was almost like a double major.
Yeah, so you got the business side of it as well as the hospitality side of it.
Yeah, and our labs weren't technically chemistry labs, but we would have lab time and all, but it was in the kitchen. So it's very unique college program to go into. No formal management training. They sent us to some Franklin Covey training now and again that I already read all those books and everything because I was obsessed with time management. So it wasn't really news to me. Mostly it was I just probably pulled from my Disney training and moved it over to the hotels in that respect.
So Disney invested a little bit more in management leadership.
Yes.
Okay, so now you're running the show at the hotel, and were you then traveling quite a bit between Hawaii and California?
A little bit. I would go to help because I wanted my sales team to do really well. I wanted them to get the whole experience. So before vlogging was a thing, this was probably 2003-ish, I was going over to our properties in Hawaii and filming, vlog style, filming me and the property and interviewing people at the property. And like, it was so funny because I was like, oh my God, that's a vlog.
It didn't have a name at the time, but now it does.
We didn't have a name. I wish I still had that footage. It would be pretty funny to watch. But I would go over there and film all this stuff and meet with the hotel themselves. Just, how can we sell this better for you, kind of thing. Just working through the customer service issues and things that would come up and trying to make things better. But just to motivate my sales team and all that, to actually have a more visceral experience with the property instead of just, cold calling people to sell timeshare.
So really connecting and bringing the property to life, so to speak, not
right.
just the selling aspect of it. So
right.
Here's the experience of it, which is really what you're selling.
Right.
Okay, so what was next then, or it sounds like a dream job then? Why would you want to leave?
Yeah, I worked my way up a little bit, and at a certain level, it just, I don't know if it was a certain manager or management team, but just it got really icky. It got really political, and backstabbing and scapegoating and pointing fingers. And I started a bunch of side hustles to figure out what I wanted to do at that point. So I didn't know, well, we didn't have like online business mentors and all back then. Barely had internet and all, but
Yeah. Yeah.
so the only thing I knew that was kind of more independent and time wise and that didn't have a income ceiling, the only thing that I could come up with at that time was real estate agents and life insurance agents and securities brokers. So me being obsessed gets a license in everything while I'm
All
working.
three of those?
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't just pick one. I'll do all three. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I would say securities licensed, real estate licensed, and oh my God, life insurance. So, but it was okay because that was like the full picture of a financial planner. So I kind of, in a backwards way, made my own financial planning business because we would get people better insurance, which freed up money. We would refinance their house, which freed up money so they could invest it in the securities.
Ah.
So, that.
Okay. Now I see the method.
Yeah. So it became a one-stop shop for all this financial support and really helping people not get screwed on their loans and things like that, to read everything for them and put them in the right loan and not just sell them whatever I would get the most commission on, and then take all that leftover savings and then put it in securities for their college, for their kids, or retirement, or their 401k, or whatever they needed to do.
Wow. Yeah. So looking at their whole picture,
Right.
and how to probably optimize all aspects of it, because sometimes people just look at their investments as one thing, their house as one thing, and yet it's all connected.
Right.
Yeah.
So I did that probably about 3 or 4 years, and then the mortgage crisis happened in America. So then I became the only person who was completely knowledgeable backwards and forwards on short sales. And so I started doing that as a way to transition out of that financial crisis in America. And I would negotiate with the bank to stop foreclosures and also find investors to pay cash for houses that were in foreclosure.
Yeah, because that's what was going on.
Right.
I mean, It was rampant. So yeah, you had probably no end of clients at that time.
Yeah. And then one day, President Obama got on TV and said, "I'm going to save everyone's house." And then everyone in my short sale company believed him and wanted a refund, and the phone stopped ringing and everything because he said that on TV. And then, he really didn't save everyone's house.
Yeah.
So that wasn't good. But, that was just a breaking point that, this is done. We're not doing this anymore. So then I don't know why I was always obsessed with home and office organization. And I did it at the hotels. I would streamline their front desks and everything. But I always see these organizers on TV and all and think I couldn't do it or whatever. And then when the mortgage thing happened, I was like, well, why can't I do that? And so I started organizing homes and offices just independently. And then other organizers were asking me, this is when social media got really big. And so organizers were asking me, how are you getting clients? How are you using your website? How are you using your internet? How are you sending your newsletters? Like all these technical questions that I just bootstrapped and did on my own because I just, again, was obsessed with figuring it out. So I received then I started coaching all the other professional organizers how to get business. And then that evolved to more of what I'm doing today, is helping just any business get more visibility online and help with their marketing and their branding and their business idea in the beginning and all that. kind of stuff. So morphed from just professional organizers to literally anyone, even a life story curator.
Yes, exactly. Wow. So, and again, you said you just kind of bootstrapped it. So you had to figure out the social media realm at the time.
Social media, websites, mailing platforms, credit card. Like, it was so hard back then to charge people with your phone and things like that. Now it's so easy. But back then it was really hard. Websites were a lot harder. There wasn't a lot of drag and drop websites. There wasn't a lot of drag and drop email builders. So it's a whole lot easier today. And there's a lot more examples of people who are doing social media in totally different ways. And there's so many examples out there now. And there wasn't too many people to really follow back then that were what you would want to be doing or what I would want to be doing.
Yeah, that now it's become a more of the mainstream and the norm to do that. Where you're right, when it first started, that isn't where everybody went initially. So you kind of had to be in both worlds, right? The mailers, the newsletters, email, and then it got more into the social media. So
yeah,
well,
now YouTube and podcasting is kind of not bigger than social media, but it's really helping people get to know you and I a lot better and a lot more deeper level, and kind of make it part of their routine. Their routine is they listen to the podcast at the gym or something like that.
Yeah. Or like me, I'm in my car at least 30 minutes a day,
Mm-hmm.
one way. And so it's great time for podcasts. I'd much rather do that. I got quite a few podcasts that I listen to. So, well, Erica, when I hear your story, it sounds so logical. I'll just try this next. I'll do this next. And then you become super successful at each thing you do. Well, until maybe the economy tanks or something.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about your mindset, and maybe this is your risk-taking mindset, but how, these are pretty big, bold moves to go from, being in hospitality, then over to financial services, then into professional organizer / business coaching. Talk about your mindset about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's cliche to say, but mindset is in entrepreneurship is the biggest hurdle. And so, yeah, it sounds great when you asked me to tell about my life in 15 minutes, but we left out all the second guessing, all the crying, all the negative credit reports, all the working 20 hours a day, sleepless nights. Like, we left all that
out. Okay, so let's get into that.
Yeah. Yeah, and for me too, there was other stuff going on. So it was like transitioning from corporate to independent, but also going through a lot of deaths, 2 divorces, a bunch of, my pets or my kids, a bunch of them passed away during this time. So there was a ton of personal hurdles as well going on at the same time. And so that led to roller coaster financial troubles, because I'd be getting really good, be getting a lot of clients, and then all of a sudden someone or something would pass away, or I'd be on a huge podcast and be so swamped with new customers that a lot of entrepreneurs do this. You take your foot off the gas on the sales and marketing, and then you're like, hey, where'd all the clients go? So those things still kept happening until enough time passed and I got enough content out there that now if I take 2 months off, which I just did, there's still new people coming in because there's just so much old content out there.
And it has a life of its own when it's out there, right? Generating things.
Yeah. People share it and all. And then we also 2 years ago opened Google Bait, which put a lot of the content pressure and social media and all that on with Google helping me a little bit more without paying for ads. So that program really helped out because we kind of figured it out. People really want something. They don't, when they really need help or are looking to purchase something or sign up with a coach, they don't like go to their Facebook feed. They go to Google and search business coach near me or business coach. Yeah, so that helped level out the income a little bit, like instead of such highs and lows.
Yeah. So since you're a coach for entrepreneurs and you're helping them through some of their mindset issues, how did you get through yours? I mean, do you have a coach that you rely on?
I had a coach for most of my entrepreneurial career, and then we kind of just grew out of each other. And so I put all of, this is like shameless self-promotion, but I put all of my mindset tricks and practices that helped me, I put them into a program called Alignment with Aloha. And I'm getting a lot of good feedback with that just really seasoned entrepreneurs are even finding a lot of value in that program. So that's there's journaling exercises, and it's a little bit more mindset and lifestyle focused on how to get, we have to do all these scary things as an entrepreneur, and there's practices and steps in here on how to get yourself into alignment so it pushes you. You're just so excited. You don't care if someone has a negative comment on Facebook about you, or you don't care to put yourself out there on a podcast, things like that. So really breaking down that, we have to do a lot of scary things, and that's what's keeping us from moving forward. So here's how to get over yourself. And it was just some short daily practices and journaling and things like that that just really help a lot. So I put it all in that one program for people.
Well, and there's that saying that if you if you learn something and then you have to teach that same thing that you've learned, you end up learning it even deeper and it becomes even more ingrained. So is that
Right.
kind of what happened for you? Is that you were going through these, big life stuff? How did you get through it? You found a way to get through it. Then you're like, oh, well, now if I can train on this or teach on this or share, I mean, was that also helpful?
Yeah, it's very helpful. It's very helpful when I have clients that are going through the same thing. I'll just gift them that program, and it'll make my coaching job easier because they'll have all these tools.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then when they get kind of out of their own head, then they can be more objective about moving forward with the regular business coaching.
Yeah, and I've changed my coaching. It's not as traditional like when you went through the program. It's like 24/7 access on WhatsApp. So when they're starting to get a mindset spin, they could WhatsApp me right away, or they have a question. They don't have to wait for their phone session. It's just like all the time.
So you're kind of on retainer.
Yeah,
Which I guess I
guess.
felt like I had access to you if I was in one of those spins. The thing is, when I was working with you, I didn't have a lot of those spins because you were helping me through it. It was after
Yeah.
we launched
Preemptive.
the business that I was like, oh, now I'm on my own.
Yeah, preemptive spins.
Yeah. But you did prepare me that could happen. So, well, did you have any role models as you were going down this path of was you said your mom was a travel agent? I mean, did that kind of inspire you?
It did, not in a mentorship way, but the experience of the trips, and that's where I got the travel bug, and then the luxury bug, and also the minimalist bug, because these luxury hotels are so clean and beautiful, and there's no clutter, and also um, that was part of it, and also her taking. We went to Hawaii a lot, of course, and we would be in Hawaii having more fun with just a small suitcase than I would back at home with my bedroom full of toys. So that kind of got the minimalist thing going too, is, hey, I had more fun in Hawaii with just a suitcase, and I have a bedroom full of toys back at home that it's not as much fun.
Interesting. Well, and you also mentioned earlier that you're you were an observer. So is that, I mean, when you described this, what I got was, oh, you're very observant as even at a young age that, oh, I'm having more fun now with this suitcase and on this trip than back in my room. So that observer characteristic sounds like started at a very young age.
Yeah, probably, very self-aware little child.
Because I guess when I think about how you're doing your business and how you are able to put what your expertise into a package, do you think it's that observer strength of yours, or is there another strength that comes into play?
I think the observer thing is a lot because I'm constantly observing and interacting with my clients, and whatever they're struggling with, if I can't directly tell them something or teach them something, then I guess it kind of just spins in the back of my head for a while until a program like pops out, like Minimalist Luxury, something like that pops out. The travel business, and then the Google bait too, that SEO thing, that was because my clients were struggling with marketing and putting themselves out there on social media and podcasts and videos. They were like, okay, well, let's just take this out of their hands. Let's just let Google, do the work for that. And then the travel business, I didn't even know that my clients were struggling putting their retreats and workshops together. I mentioned I was doing a third business, the travel business, and they're like, oh my God, I've been trying to put this retreat together for 3 years and I don't know I was like, oh, that wasn't observing. That just kind of fell in my lap. But yeah, the observing, it does help because that's how we came up with the Google bait as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it sounds like you're exposed to so many different clients, and then just listening to what you're struggling with. And then it's like, well, how can I help them with that? Right. I mean, because that's your role. And part of it is you've already got a package for it, but part of it is, no, there's a new need here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then things evolve. I mean, people don't need as much help now putting together their websites because a lot of my clients are on this Simplero platform and things like that. So there's more room now in the coaching packages to really focus on the mindset and the sales and marketing, which ultimately ends up in them making more money than, messing around with tech for months.
Yeah. Well, that was what I thought you really helped me with, was we launched in 90 days and I would have taken a year just because that's what I thought in my head it took to launch a new business. But you're like, no, let's just write up this, do that, move this for me. You gave me all the homework, and it was like, wow, that you made it so easy. I almost, was like, well, this is too easy. But then, the hard part starts is when you're out there selling, right? It's the setup. But I would have taken so long on the setup, I never got to the sales and marketing. You got me through setup and then into sales and marketing, which is really where you need to be right away.
Yeah, and that's it. That's exactly. We get people through all the setup, and then they're like, "Yikes! I don't want to market." Okay, get Google bait then, and then they're like, "I need a vacation." Then they take the other business.
So it sounds like you really created the perfect lifestyle and career for yourself. Would you say you're in your dream job?
I would say now balancing more lifestyle and vacation event type things, it does feel more full circle. When it's just day in, day out building websites and doing technical stuff, that kind of burned me out a little bit. But adding in the minimalist program, adding in the vacation planning, concierge and event planning, even though we can do creatively coordinate proposals and get honeymoons and weddings too with Disney. So that's been a lot of fun, like coming up with proposal ideas and stuff like that. Just something to balance all the tech.
Yeah, because when I was working with you, it was more it felt like your business was like you were a business coach, not international at the time that I recall. And then, but I was drawn to you because of your other title that you had at the time was the freedom and luxurious lifestyle designer. I'm like, that's what I want, because you were helping me design this job within a 3-day. How could I do it in 3 days a week, not 7 days a week, right? And be
Right.
obsessed with it, which I did better when I was working with you, by the way. Now that I say this, I think I need to get back to that.
Oh, oh, I would love to have you back. It's so much fun.
But it feels like you continue to evolve into, well, what would be fun, or what are you doing? Because I know you also had retreats, because I attended one of your retreats. So it feels like, again, if you're doing it, then how can you help others do it? And if you're doing it, it's giving you energy. So it seems like you continue to make businesses that give you energy while you're also adding value to others.
Yeah, and just a perfect example is I took all my mistakes and expertise from podcasting and getting podcast sponsors and put it in a podcast profit plan program for people. So I, like, anything that I have an inkling to do, like, oh, I want to start a podcast. And then I just, that observant thing again, I'm observing myself, struggling with this thing, and then making notes and putting it in a program for people. Yeah. And then I think another trait is I'm like all in. Because when we started the Disney travel arm of the business, I up and moved to Celebration, which is it's on Disney property. It used to be owned by Disney. So I'm like all in, which is kind of the risk take factor, I guess. Just pick up and go across country because I started this new thing and I want to be able to have more video and social media and all for it.
And if you're right there, then you have access to the property and
I
in the parks.
I could be anywhere in the 47 square miles within 10 minutes or so, because it's kind of clustered in the middle.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you're back to where you were as a young girl, that you got to be at Disneyland like every weekend. Now you get to be there at Disney World on the other side.
Yeah, and I just got back from Aulani, which is their Hawaii property. And that was amazing.
I didn't know they had a Hawaii property.
Yeah, it's 10 years old. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, Erica, you continue to just amaze me with your ability to, I don't know if I would call this reinvent yourself. I think maybe it's package. How do you just keep packaging your expertise? So do you have an extra dose of confidence or courage? Is that what allows you to kind of put all this out there? Or maybe you just have so many proven track record that whatever you put out there, it works.
It doesn't always work, or it takes a little bit to get it to work. Like I said, anyone that's come to me with a business idea, it's always ultimately worked. It's just, that's why I don't get the fear sometimes of people thinking, oh, this won't work. I've always seen it work. Like, it might take a little tweaking and shifting and renaming or something, but it usually always works. Or I'll start something and then I don't really enjoy it, and then all the energy is out of the whatever I'm doing, so I stop it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't think it's an extra dose of confidence. There's a lot of, throughout the years, especially during all the deaths and things, and divorces and deaths, it was a lot of how do you say it? Acting as if. So just kind of acting as if I already had the lifestyle I wanted, and doing, small things every day to get more to that picture in my head. But in my head, I thought I was really close to my ideal lifestyle in my head, because I was doing little tiny things every day to feel and look closer to it. But if you looked at me from the outside, you're probably like, oh my God, what a mess. Yes.
Well, usually what happens is we look at people from the outside and we think they've got it all figured out. I don't. I'm the mess.
Yeah. Well, that's what helped me a lot too, is I guess it's when I look at other people's content that's similar to mine. I don't compare. I think that's a big thing with entrepreneurs, especially with social media, is all the comparison. Because I see it creep up in my clients all day, and it crept up for me starting the travel concierge leg of my business, because there were so many Disney vacation planners, travel coordinators, things like that out there already vlogging and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so even that was creeping up in me, and I was like, oh, I know what, I kind of called myself out on it before it got dangerous. But yeah, it's still crept up with that new business. And I started listening to other people, podcasts and videos and things like that. And I honestly, they weren't producing what I wanted to see. So therefore, if I made the videos and the podcast and everything what I wanted to see, there's other people out there where there's this hole, where there's this missing part of the content. If that makes any sense. So it's basically have the podcast that you wish was out there, or create the content that you wish was out there when you were researching.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, you got me thinking now about my podcast.
Oh.
Well, so we probably need to start wrapping up here. I could talk to you all afternoon, just because, well, it's been a while, and I just enjoy your company, but also I love picking your brain for how these things work for you. When you think back on your career and your lifestyle, I guess, what do you think really served you well? So when you think of people who are maybe just starting out in a career, in transition, or stuck, what might be some things that you did that might help them?
Yeah, I think you have to really figure out or find something that you're literally obsessed with. And I maybe have a little bit of an edge on that, because I legit have OCD. I'm a certified professional organizer. Like, if the ketchup is the wrong way on the table, it's going to bug me till I turn it.
Okay.
Like, I legit have that, but there's got to be something that you're obsessed with that would help. It helps you get through the hard times, difficult times, push through things like that. I think that's what's really helped, even though I have a natural tendency. I kind of fan the flame of that a little bit to get through things.
Yeah. Well, and there are going to be the hard times. And I think that's, again, what people, it's easy when you're looking from the outside, and whether I think you're in corporate, or now that I'm in this entrepreneurial space, you do that comparison, like you were saying, as I look at these other, people, I'm like, oh, well, he's been in business for 15 years and he's got it all figured out. And this one just started up, but look at the success he's having. Oh my gosh, that's more than, what are they, you don't see the things behind the scenes, or the struggles, and realize that, oh no, they're going through it just like I am. And it isn't until you do have the one-on-one that you kind of find that stuff out. So, well, thank you for sharing that, because you're right, because you do have to have the energy and the passion and the drive to get through when it does get hard.
Yeah, totally. And then getting support with that if you're new to this.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing I would say was I'm always telling the story of working with you, which is I had been in business for 25 years in the business world in a corporate role. I had no idea how to start something as an entrepreneur in on a small
from
scale.
Scratch,
I didn't have anything from scratch. I didn't even have a name when I started with you. I just had an idea.
Yeah, that's the fun part. And people sometimes, the fun of that and the newness of that gets overshadowed with the struggle and fear and things. So try to keep it fun.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And you've done that. You've just continued to reinvent yourself. So I guess what I'm taking away from our conversation too is this observer is a really cool trait, because I do think we have our own expertise, but we don't observe ourselves. It's hard sometimes just to pull out our own expertise if it's a core competency.
Yeah.
It's just I know how to do it, but I don't know how to explain how to do it.
Right.
Yeah, and you kind of pull that out. So, well, Erica, is there anything else that you would that I haven't asked that you would like to share with listeners?
I think just one thing that we didn't mention yet that I would love to get out there is there is a bigger connection with my business coaching and the new travel arm of the business, travel concierge arm. And that is I have clients that come to me that have no idea what they want to do. They just want to get out of their job. Or I have clients who are like professional organizers for 20 years and they're tired of the physical aspects of that career. And so what we've been able to do with a couple of people is hire them if as travel coordinators, consultants for a certain area. So for example, I have a professional organizer that just is obsessed and loves Greece, and she has a house there. So she knows everything about Greece. I know nothing about Greece. So she can be like our Greece ambassador, and she can transition into this new business. So it's been a great way to just hand people a business.
Well, yeah, because I do think sometimes people who are in transition or feeling stuck are like, I don't, or, like you had admitted that you have OCD, right? Well, how do you
Yeah.
turn that into a strength, or how do you turn that into a business?
Yeah, make them a professional
Yeah.
organizer.
Yeah. So it sounds like you have some great ideas, and maybe even you can hand someone a business or some sort of role or ideas to get started moving down a different path. So
Yeah, and then the business coaching becomes how to market her Greece vacation packages. And
mhm.
it's the same marketing 101 stuff that we do in my other business coaching. So it's kind of all like in a very messy, streamlined thing.
Which is what entrepreneurship is,
Yeah.
right? A very messy, streamlined thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go with that as a tagline, though.
Yeah.
But it might speak to people. I know it speaks to me now that I'm in it for 4 years. So
Yeah. It's seeing the connections, I guess, too, is another, like you said, how do you package it? And I guess I would say it as I just see these connections like, well, of course I could have a travel business and the coaches I work with want to have retreats. And then the people that don't know what to do, they can just start marketing their favorite place.
yeah, so that sounds so obvious.
Yeah.
But it nails a lot of key things, though. And because you have exposure to that, I can see how that works. It totally works. Of course,
Yeah.
when I talk to you, everything works. So, so talk to Erica. That will be my pitch to listeners: is if you're feeling stuck or in transition, just call Erica, and
Yeah.
you'll be amazed how that you can figure something out. But there is something true about you have to talk to other people,
Right.
because if you're just in your head and you have these ideas and you think you can, manifest them, you really, once you start talking to someone else and get some people who are experts in the field that can help you launch things. I mean, and that's what I really see in you, is someone who can take ideas from nothing to something in a very short time frame and a very impactful way. So
Yeah, I'm glad you say talk to experts, because you don't want to talk to your Uncle Larry about it.
oh yeah,
Yeah. You
yeah,
don't, because they'll just tell you probably not. They'll tell you to stop and get a real job or something.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's what I was doing before I found you, is I was talking to friends and family, and there were those that were so encouraging and excited, but they weren't really offering me any ways to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
It was more just, encouragement. And then there were some that were like, well, I guess that's kind of cool if you, don't want to earn a living, if you have that as a hobby, so it's, yeah. And you're right. I was talking to friends and family. That doesn't necessarily move me forward. It wasn't until I moved forward until I worked with you.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and I'm so glad we were able to connect back then and now in this on your show here.
well, yeah. So Erica, thank you so much for sharing your story today. And you never know who you're going to move, touch, and inspire. That, someone's going to tune in and go, man, I just needed to hear that today. And they're going to be in a different place. And that's the point of the podcast, is how do we humanize each other, and how do we recognize that, to get out of our own heads and move forward. There's a variety of ways to do that. So thank you so much. And listeners, if you enjoyed today's interview, please subscribe to the podcast, and then you'll be notified as other interviews come about. If you have questions for me or for Erica, You can post them on my website, lifestorycurator.com. And I'll also, when I post Erica's interview, I'll include her information so you can reach out to her as well on my website. So on that note, I guess I would say have a great day and have a great week. Thank you.